Hey everybody, it's Friday night, and things have been moving at breakneck speed. Thankfully, all in one good direction. Really interesting, actually, because the lying Harvard fraud started attacking Sam Harris again on Twitter. He was trolling him. He wasn't saying he was a Nazi and so on. He was just asking stupid leading questions, the usual trolling routine. And so, of course, I chimed in because I had gotten an unsigned apology from Mixed Mental Arts that was actually lobbying me to talk to them. They want to talk to me. We're sorry, Hunter Matz was wrong, he fucked up, just keep challenging us. In other words, a really sensible appeal, which of course I thank them for publicly, and appreciated that they simply changed their mind, that the strategy of being a liar like that Harvard fraud probably isn't a good strategy. I was so pleased to see that. You have no idea. Then I see old Harvard fraud starting again with Sam Harris. And of course, I took issue with that because nothing he says is coherent. I mean, I haven't found anything yet. I'm willing to listen. Starts in with Sam Harris again, so we go round and round again. He starts trolling again, the usual stuff. I'm not going to read it to you. I can provide it. Just subscribe to Hunter Matz on Twitter, and you'll see what a liar and a shit. I just said his name. I got to refer to him as the lying fraud from Harvard or so on. I'm going to confirm that he has a degree from Harvard, by the way. If it's legal to find that out, I'm going to find that. And if he does, and if I find it and he does, I'll tell you. And if I find it and he doesn't, so, and please do all your research on me. Do whatever you want. So, I engaged him again, knowing that he's a liar and a fraud and a scumbag, and the shit started again. I made several logical arguments. He did the usual. So I took a look at everything again, and I got to change some of the things I said in the last video. This isn't even a starter. There's nowhere to start with the lying scumbag from Harvard. Okay? He's gone forever. I certainly will never talk to him again or entertain any kind of social media with his name attached, because that's all he cares about. If you read my comment on the YouTube thread, which I guess I could just summarize, he's a confirmed fraud. They agree, management, MMA, whatever the hell that means, says they're going to stop doing it. They don't stop doing it. When I call them on it and I ask them, well, who signed that apology? No one will answer me. So an unsigned apology. My speculation is that it was written by Hunter Matz. And if I can get somebody to go on the record to say they did it, that's fine too. And now I either have them in another lie, or which I probably couldn't determine. So you see how dishonesty endlessly ends in the person being dishonest not getting anywhere. Okay? So this beloved Harvard fraud here All he cares about is getting his message out about science, which he has this whole ridiculous, subjective objectivity is the only thing to care about. I mean, it's really hilarious. I suggest wasting at least a few minutes of your time just confirming for yourself there's nothing here. That's really, I'm not out to disprove additional lies from the scumbag from Harvard. I've done enough to know what I have here. If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, you know the cliche. So I have a non-apology that's unsigned that no one will admit to writing yet. Okay, if any of this sorts out, I'll go from there. I have a plea to join the team. And then I get more behavior and bullshit, etc. I call the lying scumbag from he claims Harvard. I'll confirm it. He then, after I destroy him again and again, I'm not a moral paragon. I just have common sense. But I'm happy to teach logic to anybody. I do it all the time. It's very challenging because people are afraid to learn the truth of their irrational beliefs. I mean, especially when they identify it in their own words, in perhaps minutes. People are can get very unsettled by that. I don't mind because I know they're getting close to understanding logic when they start calling me an asshole for explaining it to them. It happens every time. And I don't need to... Do we need logic to even dismiss Hunter Motz? Shit, I said his name again. The lying scumbag from Harvard? I say no. And that's my opinion. And here's the kicker, and I don't have it in front of me, but it is so beautiful. Hunter actually has the fucking balls to write to me and say, why don't you come talk to us and join us? We watched your video and we found it hilarious. And I said, you watched one of my videos, you found it hilarious? Well, please tell me what was hilarious. Don't spare my feelings. I don't have any feelings on calling out lying scumbags. Okay? It's an easy moral call for me, put it that way. The guy actually appealed. I mean, this is so classic. I have nothing to say. Oops, everybody's identified how stupid I am. And the person that keeps bringing attention to it, the only way to get rid of him is to ask him to join me. I admire the attempt. I mean, I guess it shows at least a little intelligence. Go fuck yourself, lying scumbag from Harvard. Why would you even ask? I could claim to be insulted. I've already indicated that I know what the golden rule is, and I try my best to live by it. You've already said in writing you have no use for it, and somebody sent an apology agreeing, which I still don't know, you lying scumbag from Harvard. Okay? Do you know how easy this is? Do you have any idea? Do you know how many hours I spend explaining that free will is impossible in a deterministic universe? And that it takes me 5 hours of being yelled at and insulted and obfuscation. And I have to inquire if they want to continue to engage and go on another several hours before they learn their cherished, unfounded beliefs have to be taken as a pile of bullshit if you want to be logical. You know how hard that is for some? It took me a long time to understand. Of course, I didn't understand any of this. Lying scumbag from Harvard. I learned. I was incredulous when I heard about how free will couldn't be possible. I was incredulous about a number of things. Let me say a number of facts backed up with evidence, you lying scumbag from Harvard, that come out of the mouth of people like Sam Harris. And guess what? I don't care about Sam Harris. Stop focusing on... You're the one who had... This is what you don't understand, lying scumbag from Harvard. You're the one with the obsession with Sam Harris. My obsession is intellectual honesty, and I use Sam Harris's public views to fucking rhetorically put into little holes lying scumbags from Harvard. Okay? And I've done it multiple times. Let me say this again, Mr. My career is almost over. Lying scumbag from Harvard. You were granted 38 minutes in front of Joe Rogan, a man I, personally admire and has been watching for years. And you want me to criticize Joe Rogan to prove that I'm not kissing his fucking ass, you lying scumbag from Harvard? Joe Rogan did not do his job that day. He didn't give a fuck. This is my opinion. He didn't give a fuck because he knows you're a piece of shit. You got in front of him. He was tired. It was the end of the podcast, whatever. You said nothing but word salad, which he couldn't follow and no one could because you don't respect logic. Okay? You fucked up, dude. You got 38 minutes on the stage, on the center stage at Carnegie Hall, and you fucking farted the whole time. In fact, I would say it was way worse than farting. The only harm that farting does is the people that have to smell it. Okay, so if Sam Harris wasn't in the room, he wasn't harmed by your farting. But you lying endlessly about the public views of Sam Harris and then going on to say nothing additionally, I think you see where I'm going here. Do you see where I'm going? And do you see that you're in a box you can't get out of? If you don't, I'll continue to call out the fact, not the relevant biology, or the terrorism, or the, dude, that's subjective. Dude, that's objective subjective. That's a deliverable. Yeah, and you've said nothing. Not to me, anyway. I've listened to a lot of intellectuals for the last 35 years. I don't know shit, okay? But I do know somebody talking shit. And now the cat's out of the bag, and I'm never going to let go. I destroyed your credibility, and now it's on to MMA. Unless they want to offer an honest apology, anybody platforming you, I have to assume, I have to check. I'm not going to accuse them of being lying scumbags from Harvard like you. I'll tell them, did you know, can you please read these tweets where the guest you just offered a platform to confirmed that he's a lying scumbag from Harvard? And can you please justify that? Of course, you're entitled to talk to anybody. I'm just curious why you want to talk to an admitted liar and scumbag from Harvard. I think that's a valid question. Anyway, so you get 38 minutes. You do nothing with it except look like an asshole and try to steal the reputation of someone who actually knows something. And the way that you do it is a bunch of foundationless claims and quoting T.S. Eliot. Dude, do you know you're one of the most transparent frauds I've ever seen? And I've been watching frauds since like 1980, maybe a little later. So let's say 35 years I've been watching frauds like you. Televangelists, people promising things they can't deliver, people claiming things they can't possibly know. You're all together. But I find you a lot more insidious because I guess you portray yourself as this, good-looking, young, attractive guy, and you've got some new ideas. You're a piece of shit. No one should be giving you a chance. A chance for what? Listening to you is an open declaration that you want to get your information from a liar and a scumbag. Do you realize that even everybody who thinks you're wonderful thinks they're getting actual facts from you? So you're lying to your own supporters about, for example, the public views of intellectuals. Dude, it doesn't get any better than this for me. Do you understand? I keep saying, do you understand this? You don't really understand this. So let me explain. I could almost say with certainty that the most pleasure I get doing anything is destroying assholes like you. I don't see that there's any more pleasure. Okay? I am talking to a guy who happens to be a fan of yours who's unnamed. We haven't addressed you yet. I don't want to characterize him as a fan. That could be unfair. But, it's going to take me 5 minutes, if I need to describe to anybody that you're a liar and a scumbag, not to be trusted, okay, who comes as little chinos every time his name is mentioned on social media. In fact, your whole stupid fucking thesis of this suicidal terrorism science or some shit, it's really hilarious. Teach the controversy, dude. Teach the controversy. Never heard that before. So, it's just funny over and over again. To watch an asshole keep calling himself an asshole, do you know how much fun that is? Okay? Let me be frank with you, you lying scumbag from Harvard. Okay? I could have easily shared my evening with a female friend of mine. Okay? My day even. Okay? Here's what I did today instead. I'm just telling you what happened. You take it for what it's worth. I spent the entire night not the entire night, let's say 4 hours last night till about 2 a.m, persuading somebody that they have no free will, that the claim I believe in God is illogical. In other words, I proved logic to this person's standard. She went in making all her bullshit claims, just like the lying scumbag from Harvard. Okay? She sat and listened for 3 hours and hemmed and hawed and pushed back and obfuscated, and now she understands some science. That's incredibly gratifying that I could help. That's my pleasure, actually teaching something I know. And guess what? If I'm wrong, I'll apologize and try to improve. Right? That metric is no evidence of that metric in your worldview, lying scumbag from Harvard. So, where was I? So, you're ridiculous. Where was I? The ridiculous. There's so much. There's so much. He's got no science. He's got no criticism. He's an admitted liar. He's an admitted troll. He's admitted that his tactics are just a troll to try to change the world. Here we are. Here's your moral argument. I'm going to be immoral to improve morality in the future. Where have we heard that before? Is that not an open declaration that he's never read a history book? How easy is this going to get? I'm moving on, lying scumbag from Harvard. I need real adversaries, not lying scumbags from Harvard who don't know anything. And if they do know anything, they've never demonstrated it. Do you know? So instead of getting laid all day, well, that was last night, but okay, so teach free will, the whole thing, God can't be all powerful and all knowing, that the refutation of unfounded claims is logical by the rules of logic. That's all I'm doing. And I'm loving it. And it's hard because people are scared of abandoning their bullshit. Okay, your whole life is bullshit. You couldn't discern where the line is, at least as far as where I'm sitting. So I did that last night for hours. For 3 hours or 3-4 hours for one friend. That afternoon and evening, I had spent several hours with another friend doing the same thing, and we're in about our 15th hour of conversation, and we're still not there, and he's still engaged because he wants to learn. And Hunter Matz hasn't learned anything yet, according to everything he says. Shit, I said his name again. Not HM, the lying scumbag from Harvard. I got to remember that. So I spent maybe the night before that, I was up all night talking about free will and proving logic and proving that, with logic that, I just did it on Twitter. If you want to read the feed, I just proved with logic that it's safe to say the world would be better without you. At least I think I could make a plausible claim. So, you know how easy that was? So, again, all you have to do is identify as a dishonest actor, and now your burden for providing anything to anybody ever just doubled. If you don't understand that, you don't understand logic. That means I don't want to hear about the textbook you wrote about solving the world's problems. Do you understand that, you lying scumbag from Harvard? Okay. So, you've done nothing, you've achieved nothing, you know nothing. You've agreed that you're a liar. You've agreed that you're a troll. This is all in writing. You've never provided one logical refutation of the public views of Sam Harris, and yet you had 38 minutes in front of the camera to do it. I wouldn't want to do it. It's hard. I've been trying to do it for 7 years. It takes a lot of work to even make a claim, you fucking lying scumbag from Harvard. Okay? So, I mean, you have no idea the joy I'm getting out of this. It can't not be joyful. I am teaching science to people who want to learn it, and I'm getting rid of people like lying scumbags from Harvard who don't value reason and evidence. Jesus Christ. Somebody's going to call me Jesus Christ. Okay? And you're still a lying scumbag from Harvard who's never said anything worth listening to. 38 minutes in front of the camera, nothing said. 2 weeks of me begging for one simple logical refutation of a public view. Still haven't gotten it. All I do is get appeals to your nonsense when you've already admitted you're a liar. Do you understand how that's unethical, you lying scumbag from Harvard? Do you have any idea? If you don't know, just go find out. Or why don't you go out and admit that you don't respect logic? And then we'll watch you try to prove that claim. And I'll laugh even more, and I'll make up another name for you, you lying scumbag from Harvard. Okay? So this is it. Your history, you've been given 2 weeks to come up with. Do you want me to give you another day? I tell you what, lying scumbag from Harvard, here's my challenge. I'll give you another day to come up with one logical explanation, one logical refutation of the public view of anybody. That public view has to be substantiated. Okay? So I want you to find me somebody who makes a substantive claim in the fucking universe, you lying scumbag from Harvard. And then I want you to even just attempt to make a logical refutation so you can demonstrate you know what it is. Okay? I'll consider that progress. You know why? I'm teaching you something. That's all I care about. Well, that and destroying people who try to stop people from learning, like lying scumbags from Harvard. So let me know. Well, I'm saying let me know, but I don't follow you on Twitter anymore. I will never mention your name, although I think I did it a few times. I did it at least a few times here because it's hard not to just keep remembering to call you a little lying scumbag from Harvard. So no more of your name, no more Twitter name, no more YouTube name. You know, as far as Ed Kennedy is confirmed, you're off the social platform. In fact, I'm going to try and make sure, legally and ethically, I make sure you get your message out as inefficiently as possible. Okay? So, I don't want to hear from you again unless you're willing to concede you're a liar and a scumbag. And you're a liar and what are you? A liar and a scumbag and a fraud. The lying scumbag from you have to self-identifying as a lying scumbag from Harvard that would like to return to the table of grown-ups, and you'd like to offer your attempt at a logical refutation. And you know what? An attempt at a logical refutation is learning in and of itself, because you're learning the value of logic. So maybe I would talk to you again if you just made an attempt. But again, you got 38 minutes in 2 weeks. And I prodded you. I threw up, I literally destroyed every stupid leading question, every bigoted statement, every uninformed opinion, and you still haven't come up with anything. Lying scumbag from Harvard, that's what a failure is. Okay? That's what a failure is. You're worse than a failure because you're harming. If you just shut the fuck up, the world would be better because you are intentionally spreading lies. We can't learn from lies. How could we know what's true? How could we verify the outcomes of your theories when your fucking stupid Playboy bullshit theories include black boxes and phantom refutations of established logical arguments? Jesus fucking Christ, you lying scumbag from Harvard. You're such an idiot. It just continues to astonish me. And I know the reason, hold on. I suspect that none of this is actually true, and this is all some experiment we are meant to play for your research of your terrorism thing. Okay? So you're trolling the world and lying to us, throwing away your reputation, to act like that, and you think it's going to get you somewhere. Dude, lying scumbag from Harvard, if this gets you any fucking where but down, you'll hear from me again. See you later, lying scumbag from Harvard. And by the way, MMA, whoever the fuck that is, reach out to me, not Hunter Motz. I won't take his call. I won't take his email. I won't do anything. So, MMA, you need to clarify who sent that apology. I want a name. I want to speak to the person who wrote it. If you don't do that, my next video, because the lying scumbag from Harvard is now in the ash heap of history of bad ideas and shitty starts and bad smells and piles of fucking shit, okay, that thankfully has been cleaned off the stall floor, okay, thanks to, 8 hours of my pleasure. I was going to call it work. It's not pleasure. It's not work, it's pleasure. So, if I don't hear from MMA of who wrote that, the next video will ignore the lying scumbag from Harvard, and I will impugn the integrity with good cause of MMA. If that gets me nowhere, I'll say publicly that I've made every honest effort for weeks to try to sort out why this organization is a propaganda machine. And all I've gotten is endless confirmations that it's a propaganda machine. I'm not interested in propaganda. Okay? I'm interested in facts or reasonable supposition or sensible views of others' views. What are you offering? You are using the world as your lab to test your experiment at your ethical expense. But not only that, you're not doing it alone. You're wasting everybody else's time. That's the definition of unethical. So you're trying to get ethic. You want science to improve the world, and you want to be unethical to get there. I mean, I've said this already. You're the fucking stupidest person I've met. And I haven't met you. And I never will, because I don't hang out with lying scumbags from Harvard. Okay? So MMA, the lying scumbag from Harvard who comes as chinos every time somebody says his name. Hey, HM. Hey, lying scumbag from Harvard. Fuck this Shetland pony in front of me. And you know what I'll do? I'll add you to my Twitter feed and tell people to follow you. Okay? And you know what, dude? If you cut your dick off, I'll fucking spend $5,000 on, no, I'll spend $10,000 on a campaign to spread your name. I think you know where this is going. How much money am I going to pay for you doing an act that would rid the world of another lying scumbag from Harvard? What do you think the world would give for that? I'm not suggesting I want that. I'm just suggesting it's just another proven fact as a way to eliminate frauds, liars, people who don't understand logic, trolls, those that think that the wanton destruction of other people's property for their own means is ethical, etc., etc. I don't think I need to speak anymore. Okay? I think I made my point. So, lying scumbag from Harvard, fuck you. Fuck your ideas, because you don't have any. Fuck your attitude. Fuck your science, which isn't science, because you still don't know how to define science, apparently, because you still don't know what evidence is. Okay? So, fuck you. Fuck your ideas. Fuck your terrorism piece of shit. Treat the world like shit so I can go find out my shit. Unethical behavior. You can go fuck yourself for that. You can fuck yourself for insinuating that Sam Harris is a bigot for agreeing with what everything Charles Murray says. Here's another challenge, lying scumbag from Harvard. I saw your tweet stating that, quote, should I read it? Sam Harris agrees with everything Charles Murray says. Where's your evidence for that? Find me one. Here's another challenge for you. Find me one piece of evidence for that claim. And I'll talk to you again. I mean, I'll show you what an asshole, a liar, and a scumbag you are, but at least it'll be an attempt for you to find a claim. So I just referenced another unfounded claim that Sam Harris agrees with the views of Charles Murray. Let me explain to you Sam Harris's position as far as my concern is. With the one fucking time he spoke to Charles Murray, you lying scumbag from Harvard. Okay? Let me explain the only evidence you could possibly have. Here's the summary. Talk. Sam Harris. Well, really all I can say here is I wanted to prove I could have a difficult discussion with somebody who others claim without evidence to be a Nazi. I proved to the world I could talk to somebody that other people with evidence claim to be a Nazi. I read his book thoroughly, and at least as someone who has a PhD in science, so he's wrote a dissertation, I assume. In fact, I know the subject of Sam. Why don't you criticize Sam's dissertation? Okay, Sam has published a dissertation. He's published a footnoted book. I've read them all. So if you actually want to find out anything, you lying scumbag from Harvard, about the claims of Sam Harris, you go to the footnotes. Or do you want to throw that out with science? That's actually a serious question, lying scumbag from Harvard. So, where was I? So you claim that that Sam Harris agrees with Charles Murray. Here's what Sam Harris agreed to, lying scumbag. And again, he could be wrong. I'm just telling you what he said. Everything he could do in the time that he did it, using other means of validation, seemed to suggest to Sam Harris that at least the science referenced in the book by his measure, and maybe 200 other people, 150, whatever it is, 30, I don't know. I don't need to check. I'm responding to someone who doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. Okay? So all Sam said several times was, I personally don't see outward racism. Okay? He's entitled to make that claim, and you're entitled to dispute it. He also said, I don't see any problem with the science in as far as I can prove the science. He cannot run the experiments. He can show that a scientist, lying scumbag from Harvard, who knows how to be a scientist, lying scumbag from Harvard, is capable of collecting facts in evidence in the world, collecting those facts, explaining those facts. At that point, Sam Harris, it seems to be apparently in line with the scientific method that Charles Murray used. Okay? That's it, asshole. He's even said in the past, you want me to find the past where Sam Harris, he should say this more actually, that he's not a policy guy, okay? He shouldn't be talking policy. Philosophers, that's valid. That I view as valid criticism, okay? And I think I can back it up, okay? We haven't moved from any, you haven't moved from any spot. You're still trolling Sam, making accusations that he agrees with Charles Murray when I just explained what he only agrees with. The prescriptions, the subjective objectivity. In other words, what do you do with all this information? Okay, the thing that you care about, without caring about logic and being honest. Okay, the thing that you care about is you have Sam Harris. So you said today that he agrees with the views, when the podcast, which is the only information you could possibly have, or disclose the information, share the other information, where Sam Harris explicitly said, how could he, well, he's welcome to weigh in on the prescriptions of a set of data that was collected with the scientific method. He's entitled to disagree with that, agree with it, not give a shit, walk away, and so on. Okay? Let me explain logic to you, lying scumbag from Harvard. Acknowledging that you cannot verify his suggestions for the future of our world based on the incontrovertible science of hundreds of people, okay, that is not evidentiary yet. Those are claims. So all you'd ever be assuming, all you'd ever be accusing Sam Harris of is not agreeing with the yet to be founded claims of Charles Murray. You know what that's called, lying scumbag from Harvard? Take a guess. It's called being a skeptic, which you're not. You're a lying scumbag from Harvard. Next time, people, if I don't hear from MMA, it's take them down, and then we move on to other lying scumbags. Okay? This was a long one, guys. Thanks for sticking with me. I'm here to talk. Except, of course, the lying scumbag from Harvard.